I'm just reading them.
That's yours.
Okay, Jason, this customer asked, if I use a thicker underlayment under my floor, will my floor feel softer underfoot?
It could, but it could be a bad thing because, especially under a lot of your LVPs.
Yeah, it doesn't say what kind of floor it is, but let's assume it's something that you would use an underlayment under, an LVP or even a laminate or a floated floor.
So if you use something that gives too much, you'll wind up breaking the joints, and the companies don't recommend that.
Right. The manufacturers all have specifications about how thick you can use, and I think on our 7 series, the best that we sell, isn't it 1.5 mil is all you can use.
Yes.
If you go any thicker than that, like Jason said, when you step on a joint, you get movement. And when you're using a snap together floor, movement is not your friend. If you want something soft, buy a rug.
Yeah.
Fair enough? Okay. Next question. Which type of floor is better suited for my workout room? Now, I don't know why anybody would look at me and think I know anything about workout rooms, so we'll defer this one to Jason.
As far as what we have, I would say it'd be an SPC LVP product.
Definitely not a WPC.
Not right, because it's harder, much harder to dent. Probably still ain't suited for real heavy weights dropping on it. But as far as just normal workouts, it would work great. Yeah,
and I wouldn't be afraid to use a glue down LVP, maybe a 20 mil commercial. Right. Those tend to be a little bit harder. You don't have to worry about, maybe if you drop something on a joint of a floating LVP, you may have a crack issue.
Right.
So maybe stick with a glue down floor in there. All right, I want a wood look floor in my bathroom. Would LVP be a better option than engineered hardwood?
Yes.
Yeah, no question.
Waterproof, you know, you always have water accidents in bathrooms, so waterproof LVP would be much better.
You know, I would put hardwood. I put hardwood in bathrooms in a couple of different houses, but the only way I would do it is if it was for a continuity sake. You know, if it's in the rest of the house and I want flow in there, then I wouldn't be afraid to put wood in there. But if I'm doing standalone, I think I'd stick with a vinyl. Would you agree with that? All right. What is the worst type of flooring you have had experience with? That's a good question, Jason. What's the worst type of flooring you've had experience with?
Don't know.
In my experience, I would say it was the early generation laminates.
Yes, the glue togethers.
Yes, the glue togethers, because you had to plan for expansion. Okay, the floors expanding, contracted, were floating floors. You glued them together, so it was always messy. But a lot of homeowners, they would leave the recommended expansion room around 90% of it, but there's a few places it wasn't convenient, like around a fireplace or a door jamb. So it would hit, it would blow up, you'd have separation, had lots of problems with that. And honestly, very few of them were product related.
No.
None of us knew a whole lot about them to start.
And you spent more time cleaning up glue than laying the floor. So.
We quickly learned to keep water and a sponge with you all the time and to clean your glue as you went. Don't plan on coming back and getting it, right?
Right.
Okay, what are the benefits of solid hardwood flooring? Well, I think there's lots of benefits. For one, solid appraises more for more money. If you're going to sell it, it'll give you a little more return. Another benefit is some houses only have one layer of plywood or maybe even a layer of particle board down. Usually it's OSB or another type of oriented strand board like Huber wood or something.
Strengthens.
Right, so it strengthens it. A 3/4 inch piece of solid oak, that adds a great deal of strength. So if you're going over you're going over floor trusses, of course you always lay a floor perpendicular to the trusses. That keeps you from getting wavy parts in your floor. So a solid floor will add a great deal of strength. That being said, I like the width of the engineered floors. When you buy some of the higher end engineered floors, the ones that have been face sawn, like our Somerset floors, they're cut just like a solid, so you really cannot tell the difference down. Now, except you can't use a 7-inch solid, certainly in western North Carolina,
No.
because of moisture problems. So, if there is an Achilles heel of solid, it is moisture. Okay, you introduce moisture to a 3-inch board, and it might become a 3¼ inch board. With an engineered floor, we don't have to worry about that. Anything to add?
No,
Oh, come on, add something.
that's good. You did a great job.
You're really wanting to go on the next question?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, Jason. This customer heard that LVP or luxury vinyl flooring lasts only 10 to 20 years. Should I get my floors replaced after that time?
If you're buying them from us, sure.
Yeah, every 10 years max.
Yeah. No, I don't think this is true. Every household's different. This is, I get this asked a lot, and it's impossible to answer how long will a floor last. Well, if it's a 2-person older couple, it's going to last a lot longer than a 5-person family with 3 kids.
Older like us?
Yes, older like us. But it's according to the product. You buy
That's
cheap.
for sure.
You buy a cheap 6 mil. It probably won't last you 10 years.
And in all honesty, is the lifetime determined by the wear of the product and the change of appearance over time? Because an LVP is going to exhibit very little change of appearance over time. More likely, it's going to be from abuse. It's going to be from something dropped. It's going to be from, moisture that's introduced, something like that. And those, we really don't know. As far as just from a wearability, I don't think I think you're going to get tired of it well before you wear it out. Do vacuum cleaner wheels scratch up my wood flooring? The wheels won't, but there's a possibility that the head will. Manufacturers recommend if you're going to use a vacuum cleaner on a wood floor, turn the beater bar off. Okay, let it just do suction on it. Don't use the beater bar. AJ, can we mop a laminate floor with hot water?
Yes.
What do you know about mopping?
I don't know why you couldn't.
Okay. First of all, you don't want to mop your floors with water ever. Okay, you can't. What you want to do is you want to use a damp mop head. Right. You're going to use a no rinse cleaner. It's imperative that you use a no rinse cleaner on your floor. If you use something with soap in it, it's going to leave a residue on it. That residue is going to attract dust and dirt. It's going to change the gloss level of your floor. Now, granted, you can cut all that off later, but we don't want to have to do that. Use a no rinse cleaner like the Bona or the Bruce.
Yeah.
Everybody has a no rinse cleaner. There's a lot of good ones out there. So when you clean it with that, you don't require a lot of rinsing. Okay.
Right.
But never use a wet mop on your hardwood, your LVP, even laminate floors. Don't ever use a wet mop. Save that for sheet vinyl. Okay. Let's see here. Which room is worth the big money for hardwood floors? I can't believe somebody asked that.
I can't either. They're all worth it.
Or none of them are worth it. You should buy. I'm a little cheap, so maybe we'll answer this separately.
Yeah.
How about that? I don't think you should ever spend big money on hardwood floors. Pay $10 a foot for a hardwood floor or $2 for one of my cabin grade floors. You're going to walk on it just the same. The difference is you save $8. On a 500-foot room, that's $4,000. And if you're judicious, that'll buy all the appliances for your kitchen. Okay? Is it going to look exactly the same? No, it's going to look like it's got $4,000 worth of free appliances in the kitchen. Your turn.
My opinion. Okay. Some are much pickier than others. If I had a customer yesterday, had all big
When
rooms.
you finally came back from a long vacation.
Anyway, I had a customer in yesterday. Did not want, so they had all like 20 by 20 rooms. She said, don't like the look of short boards. I said, well, don't get cabin, get first. Is the overall appearance when they're done going to look different? No, it's all going to be the same color in my opinion. But in her mind, she was going to come in there and see the short boards every time. So I told her she should just get first quality. She wants long boards. She's going to spend a lot more money though.
And maybe in a common area, living room, hallway, you want the longer boards. Longer boards are probably the biggest difference you'll notice between a high grade and low grade, lower graded floor. And if you're buying a light color like a natural oak or even a butterscotch or gunstock, you'll notice those short boards more because not only are there shorter boards, there's more color variation between the boards. Okay, so if you're buying a darker floor, an espresso, or one of the
Yeah,
dark
you won't
grays,
notice it
you won't
as
notice the
much.
difference anyway because you're stained to match. But if I'm doing bedrooms, man, I'm gonna put cabin grade in. But I'm cheap, okay? I don't have money like Jason has. Okay, Jason, this customer's subfloor is not level. Is it wise to sand down the uneven spots?
Yes, when you have the joints come together on your plywood, if they're up and down a little bit, it is a good thing to sand them down flat, so we don't have to worry about boards moving a little bit right there and
Right.
hearing a squeak from the boards moving.
We don't like squeaks, and we
Right.
just don't like movement,
Right.
okay?
So yes, sand them down.
But now a lot of the humps can't be sanded. A lot of them, maybe you've got a high joist or something, and your answer there, remember now you're running your boards perpendicular to the joists, so if there's a crown like that, you should be able to minimize that.
Yeah.
Now this is one of the cases for longer boards. We answered a question earlier. I don't really mind short boards unless we've got a wavy floor. With a wavy floor, I would probably spend the money to get a longer board because that'll go a long way to further minimize that.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to agree with me, Jason.
I
So I
will,
want you to be
every
right.
time.
Okay?
Yep.
That's really the secret. Okay. Here's an easy one. I'll let you answer it. We have 10-foot long, 2-inch thick, 6-inch wide tongue and groove floorboards for our subfloor, and it has a lot of high and low areas. We want to install laminate floating floors. What's the best way to level this kind of floor?
If I had that down and a lot of up and down, I would probably just come back over it with some kind of a 1/2-inch plywood to level everything up and then lay on top of that. It's really the only way you can level a floor like that.
It's
Your
almost.
opinion?
It's
I know
almost
it's going to be a little more money, but
a lot. With plywood costing $50 a
yeah,
sheet right now, it's a lot
now
more
it's
money.
going to be a lot more money. But there really ain't a whole lot of options to level a floor like that.
Guys, I'll be honest with you. If I've got a floor that has a lot of high and low areas, I'm not going to put a floating floor on it.
Yep, I just do
Yeah.
a nail down.
Do a nail down. We can't have movement in a floating floor. All right, it's just you're going to break your joints. It's going to shorten lifetime. If you've watched any of our videos, you know how cheap I am. Okay, I don't like buying anything expensive. But even worse is buying something that doesn't last the amount of time we want it to last. So if a salesperson sells you an inferior product, they know it's an inferior product. You save 50 cents. Big deal. If you got to replace it every 5 years, you didn't save you money. But by the same token, if we sell you the wrong product for the wrong application, you've lost money there too. I wouldn't put a floating floor on a wavy floor. Just that's my opinion.
Right.
Oh, Jason, how do we fix a creaking sound in their flooring when they step on it? Stop stepping on it?
Yeah, just step over it.
Go around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's according to what's squeaking. Is we got to figure out first: is it the wood floor, or is it my subfloor?
Right.
That's kind of hard to figure out. If you can actually, when you step on the board, if you can see it move a little bit, it's probably your wood floor.
Right.
You can drill a hole, run a finish nail down through it, set it, putty it. Hopefully that takes care of it. The other option, if it's your subfloor, about the only way is to go underneath, if you can go underneath, and
Yeah.
run some screws
Yeah,
up.
ceiling
in there.
tile you can take
Right.
out or something where you can get to it. Yeah.
Run some screws up through your subfloor into the wood to pull them tight together. Just make sure the screw's not too long to go all the way through the wood.
Because that would be hard on socks. That would
Then
be
you'd rather have the squeak than the
squeaks aren't such a
yeah.
bad thing. And you got to remember, squeaks or creaks are only caused by movement. Okay, it's not a defect of the wood. It's not a defect. It's usually a nail or a screw that's allowed movement. Maybe there's been some moisture that caused an expansion. It's almost always fixable. Okay, if you've got a floating floor, like Jason said, if you see it move up and down, there's your cause. You got to fix it. Why is a floating floor moving up and down? Usually it's because it's hitting on a wall somewhere and you're trying to crowd too much floor into too little a space. So maybe you've got to pull your baseboard off and trim it a little.
Yeah.
Okay, did that sound smart there?
Yeah.
Did I? Cool. This customer says my basement has an uneven cement floor. Do I need to get someone to level it out for an LVP installation?
Yes.
Yes, that's your answer is yes?
Yes.
Did you flip a coin?
Yeah. No, on LVP, it'll even tell you on the instructions in the box it needs to be within, is it an eighth?
Eighth of an inch over 10
Eighth of
feet?
an inch over 10 feet level. So if you don't do that, it'll void your warranty. So yes, and there are self-levelers you can get. You can even do it yourself. You just
That's why it's called self-leveler.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are
And you know, he's giving a technical side, but the self-levelers are really cool. From a dumb guy standpoint, it's really neat. You put it in a bucket, get you a paddle bit for your drill. You put in the amount of water they say to, you mix it up, you pour it out, and you get out of the way. It's really neat. And it's not expensive, but I wouldn't use it unless I had a lot of it to do,
right.
would you?
No, yeah. Yeah, and mainly if you're going to do that self-leveler, just hit the low spots.
Right.
You know, you're just going to hit the low spots anyway, so... And then just get you a long tube before a straight one and put it across just to see how level it is getting.
Another option if you have an unlevel floor is maybe don't use a floating LVP. Okay, a glue down LVP, while if you've got low spots, it may not touch all of them. You may have some hollow spots. It won't destroy the product. It's not ideal, right. But if you put a floating floor down there and you have low spots and you start stepping on those joints and you get some movement, you're going to destroy the floor over time. Okay, so. If it's not level, just go with a glue down. I know it's more work and you're going to get glue all over you. That's okay. You're just going to put up with it. And that getting a concrete floor level is a lot of work and a lot of money. So your call. Let's see. Jason, their daughter left a small flower pot on her hardwood floor for months, leaving a dark spot. Do we need to refinish the whole floor to fix it?
Yeah, you do have to redo the whole floor to fix it, because in any wood floor, if we sand one spot, that spot's always going to be lighter because your floor patinas or darkens under just natural light.
Right.
So when I sand a little circle out here and put finish on it, it will look a complete different color.
That being said, a lot of times with water damage, you sand it and you can shave 20 thousandths off of it.
And
it's still there, okay? My suggestion, buy your daughter a couple more flower pots, make a pattern.
Yeah.
That was a good answer. I showed a great deal of insight there, didn't I?
You did.
Thank you, son. Okay. Does adding an underlayment help in any way for my new LVP tile floors?
No. We discussed this on one earlier. We don't want to put too much padding under an LVT.
Right. Anything
or LVP. This,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. If you go over 1 millimeter, you're getting in really that's too much. Now some of the higher end floors like our 7 series allow up to 1.5 mil, but they come with a 1.5 mil attached already.
Yeah.
You know what? Cortec does allow you to add up to a half a mil on their products that have a 1 mil back.
Yes.
They will let you allow that. They will allow that. And that's really more for sound. If you want a floor that's softer, buy a rug, okay? The advantages of a hard surface tend to go away when you start putting too much underlayment under them. Just don't do it, okay? Let's see. This customer has a big scratch on their hardwood floor. Is this repairable, and how do we do it?
It is.
Do you have a video on YouTube for that? Hey, Jason has one on there for replacing a board, and it gets more visits than any other video that we have, and he brings it up to me weekly. Have you done one for fixing a scratch?
No, because scratches are hard to fix, you know, because you have to wind up putting more finish on them, and it always turns out a different sheen.
So it looks terrible regardless.
Yeah, is it hideable? Yeah, you can get a color pen or maybe even a putty. It's according to how big the scratch is, and you can hide it a little bit, but you can't make it invisible. If you have any wood left over, the best way is just to cut it out and put a new board in.
And then they can watch that video
then you can watch
how
the
to
video.
replace a board. Yeah.
Very popular.
Very
Very
shut up.
popular.
And one thing you got to look at, is it a scratch or is it a dent? You know, if there's damaged wood, you're not going to sand that and fix it. Replace the boards. If it's just, you slid something, you scratched the finish up a little bit, try a couple of different things, rub on it, maybe steel wool to minimize it, to make it a little less obvious where it is. But
scratched across the grain is pretty much unfixable. With the grains, much easier.
If it's in the board, of course, it's easy to replace board. Okay. For glue down vinyl, can I just glue the perimeter of each room? I wonder if that's glue down roll goods or
about sheet vinyl, or if
I would assume
about.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's according to the vinyl. They don't make many perimeter glues anymore.
Really?
No.
Oh, they're all free floating.
Most of them are free floating.
That was easy for you.
or full spread. So
That means don't glue them at all or glue them
Yeah.
all over for
Yes.
us uninitiated. So that was your answer?
that's my answer.
Oh, wow, you're not
Yeah.
getting paid for that one.
No.
Let's see. Can I install my laminate floating floors tight to walls and other objects? No, not ever. Read the manufacturer's instructions. Each product's different. As a general rule, you're what, about 3/8 of an inch?
Yep.
That expansion room is there for a reason, okay? Just allow your material to expand. What if you don't put it there? Then it can't expand, and when it's going to expand, there's nothing you can do about that. And it'll start raising up off the floor. You'll get breakdown in joints. The joints will wear off over time because you'll be surprised how much wear they get when they raise up, and you'll have to replace your floor much more quickly.
And don't put cabinets on the floating floor.
Don't ever put cabinets on floor and floor. Now, I have seen people cut,
You can drill big circles in
Right,
it
like
where
inch
you're
and a half
gonna
holes.
screw it down.
right.
And you can do it that way, but
What have you gained? You might as well just, you
yeah,
know.
some companies still won't let you get by with that.
Okay. You can, however, put them under toilets, but not under
Yes.
cabinets. We don't recommend it. Let's see. What's the difference between a Berber, a Frise, and Plush carpeting? This is an easy one.
Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I meant, okay. Berber is a looped carpet. Okay, they can be patterned, they can be non-patterned, they can be made out of polypropylene, they can be made out of nylon. They don't have the nice feel that some of the other constructions will have. The Frise is sort of a newer type look. Plushes have been around for a long time. So each one of them has their own strengths. Berber strength is, what is a Berber strength?
A lot of people like Berber because you won't never see the packing of it because it's so short nap. So a lot of
Right.
people like it in their basements.
You know, when we're looking at longevity of carpet, it's just like any other floor. It's about changing appearance, okay? So when a carpet starts to crush, it will show a change in appearance, especially in those plushes. The
Yes.
plush is the worst for showing wear because it's so perfect to begin with. You know, everyone's the same height. When you get that deviation, it starts to look bad. Now, a Frise, I like a Frise is actually the right word there. I don't know why I was calling it Frise.
I don't know.
I was just reading it. Frise typically is made with a really soft yarn. They're like a bunch of kindergartners. They're going every direction, so they don't show crushing. They don't show footprints so much unless you get really long with them. I like a Frise. But then again, I like a plush too, especially if we're using hardwood in common areas and we're just using carpet in bedrooms. We have to look, why are we buying carpet? We're probably buying it because it feels good. Well, then go buy the carpet that feels the best, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Is there a certain type of urethane finish, Jason, that I should look for in a new hardwood?
Yes, aluminum oxide.
Don't all of them have aluminum oxide?
Yes.
Okay.
But
All of them, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, there's only there are cheaper urethane finishes, but I think all companies are now using aluminum oxide, so there's really nothing to look for in a pre-finished.
There's a few floors out there by some of your hiring companies that'll be wax or acrylic, but as a general rule, everything has aluminum oxide in it that keeps it from scratching. Aluminum oxide's awesome. Even your LVPs, you're going to have aluminum oxide. Now, some of the only the higher end ones will have aluminum oxide. The lower end ones won't, but our 7 series comes with aluminum oxide. Okay, Jason, are the installers for Carpet Mart your installers or are they subcontracted?
They're all some subcontracted.
Actually, they're not even subcontracted. Subcontract means the money goes through you. They're actually contractors that work for the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the installation, you know, we book everything for our installers, keep their schedule, but everything goes through the customer to the installer as far as the money.
And some people say, you know, there's some downside to that. Well, the plus side is it saves you a lot of money.
Yes.
Because if it's going to go through us, we have more expenses, okay? We have more responsibilities. We've got to make profit. And now your labor went from $6 a yard to $10 a yard.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. We've tried it both ways. This is a pretty good system. It has its flaws, but that's the best we can do. All right, Jason, if you have something not in stock, will you get more of it? I guess that's probably more a question for me.
Yeah, it's more a question for
Okay.
you.
I love this answer. Well, it depends. About 75% of our inventory right now we get back. We have programs with some of our suppliers where maybe we take all of the cabin grade solid they produce, or we take all of the builder grade engineered that they produce. We get truckloads just about every day in one of the stores from stuff we buy. Our LVP, almost all of it, we've made a deal with Cortec to buy from them almost exclusively. We buy the same products. Sometimes there's shortages. You know, it's an imported product, so sometimes stuff might run out for 30 days. But as a general rule, most of our solid engineered and LVP you can get back. Now, occasionally, one of our suppliers will call us and say, hey, we've got a warehouse full of discontinued material that we've been saving up. Or we buy from an odd company, a company we've never heard of will call us, some small company, and they've bought somebody else and there's a warehouse full of stuff. Yes, we buy these. They offer some great values, but those products will not be replaceable. What you need to do when you're talking to a salesperson, if you're needing something replaced, ask them, is this something you get back? If they tell you no, and you might need some more later, don't buy it, okay? Because we can't get it.
Right.
Or if you can, it's going to cost you 4 times more. One of the companies, I don't need to name it, but one of the companies we buy returns from, we get a lot of box store returns where we're able to go out and sell that stuff for 25 cents on the dollar. Can we get more of it? We can, but if we have to work on your timing instead of the company's timing, you might have to pay $6 a foot for it. Okay, here we go, Jason. I heard people using Tide for snacks. No, it's to clean their hardwood floors. Is that a good idea?
No, I've never. This is a new one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a new one.
No, because Tide's a detergent. We don't want to use any detergent-based product to clean our floors.
No soap.
So, no soap.
No soap whatsoever. Leaves a residue. When you glue down an engineered floor, how long does it take to settle?
Well, if on the glue down engineered, if it's glued down properly, because what we do, we spread the glue out, and the glue's pretty much dry when you install the floor. So when you put that board in, that board will not move. So there's really no settle time. After you get done, you can start moving stuff in on it.
Mm-hmm. Some of the latex, not latex, but what is that stuff we've used that has like real glue base to glue down solid? There are some of them out there that are real rubbery that you roll material afterwards into to get it set into it. But again, that's done when we leave the job site.
Right, but yeah, and they do recommend on any glue down after you do it to roll it with a 75 to 100 pound roller. Yes.
Okay. Let's see, my hardwood floor feels bouncy. Is there a way to stiffen my floor?
If your floor's feeling bouncy, I'd say it shouldn't have anything to do with your hardwood. It's probably some kind of joist that you would probably need somebody to come in and look at.
Or maybe you need to lose a little weight. You might be a little chunky like me, okay? I'm just saying it's an option, all right? My vinyl sheet floor seems to be shifting. That's a shifting on me. How do I fix that?
I don't know how it would be shifting.
Sounds like a sheet vinyl floor is shifting. Crawling? Maybe it's crawling.
Maybe it's crawling. The only way you can just glue it down.
Put a nail in each corner?
Yeah, or nail. No.
We're kidding.
Pull it back and you just have to glue it down if it keeps shifting on you, and that would stop.
What would cause one to shift?
I don't know.
It's hitting somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, but it wouldn't cause it to shift just because it's touching the wall.
Maybe it's one of those migratory
Maybe
floors.
it is.
It's going south for the winter.
Couldn't be.
I'm going south.
I know.
You ready? All right, Jason, here's a good question. What is limed oak flooring? Okay, limed oak, manufacturers are always looking for something to separate their product from others. And I know U.S. Floors seem to be one of the ones that started it. U.S. Floors is great about coming out with new products. But anyway, you take this lime paste and you rub it into the grain of the floor. And then you shave it down to make it smooth again, and you throw it back in your lineup to run it again. And what that does is it gives the grain a little different look, so it creates a contrast. Usually when you create contrast in a wood floor, you're doing it with a dark stain. When you apply gunstock, the body or the pithy part of the wood remains lighter than the grain. Well, with the limed woods, the grain is where that limed paste stays, and it gives it a white or a gray look. So it's a pretty unique look You can look at it. If you like it, you should probably buy it. Is a 2 millimeter thick plank with a 20 mil wear layer a decent LVP product? Does the overall thickness of a plank matter? There's no short answer for this. I'm not a big proponent of thickness. I don't think thickness makes a lot of difference. But one of the things we run into over the last 2 or 3 years is companies, especially box stores. I'm not trying to pick on box stores, but box stores always want to be the cheapest. And sometimes they'll do it even if it's not a good idea. So one of the, an LVP floor is made up of layers. And each layer has a cost. We know the wear layer has a cost, but there's inside pieces, balancing layers that have a cost as well. And what the balancing layers, it's just like an engineered floor. The more layers you have turned opposite directions, the more stable a floor is, okay? So while the wear layer determines how long that floor will look good, the balancing layers determine how stable that floor will be when faced with something that reduces stability. Moisture, extreme temperatures, maybe even direct sunlight. If you have a house that has a great big bay window here and you don't have blinds up, you don't like closed blinds, that floor is going to get a lot of direct sun and it's going to cause it to warp if it doesn't have the right balancing layers, okay? A thin floor cannot have balancing layers. You can look, the problem is most manufacturers don't want to talk about that. They don't put that information on their boxes. Some do. The ones that put the balancing layer in there, they want you to know about it. And you can watch our videos. All of our LVP floors that we sell have a balancing layer. We used to sell a little 6 mil, it didn't. We found out, we quit carrying it, okay? There's just, if the difference between a good floor and a medium floor was $2, it would be worth maybe going with a medium quality floor. But from the top to the bottom of LVP, the most expensive one to the cheapest one's only about $2.
Yep.
So, if you look at an average job is 500 square feet, it's only another $1,000. I mean, it's not a tiny amount of money, but it's $1,000 for a floor that'll last 2 or 3 times longer. So do your research, look at your warranty. Does the warranty cover moisture changes? Does it cover direct sunlight? Some of the manufacturers will tell you it does not cover that. That's a surefire sign that there's no balancing layer. But to make it easy, just buy floors from us, okay?
Yeah, we'll let you know.
We'll let you know, right. And we're believable. I am. Okay, Jason, what are the signs when I should replace my flooring? When you have enough money?
Yeah, when you saved up enough money. No, I'd say some of the signs, especially you'll notice traffic patterns in your floor, you've wore it down, moving furniture around forever, scratching it,
It's honestly about changing appearance.
Yeah.
It might be, how many times have you bought a shirt and the very first day you spill something on the front of it, you ruined it, okay? The shirt's fine. You didn't wear your shirt out, but you've ruined it. Other shirts we seem to keep around for about 30 years and they just get a little tight in the front, it seems like. Floors are the same way. If you take care of them and accidents don't happen, all of them should last a really long time. But look for change in appearance. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, whatever, if you start to see a change in gloss level or a change in height, yarn height, where you walk, but not over here where you don't, then it's becoming time to change it. One thing that people will do, change your patterns. I know you women like to hear this. Move your furniture around once a year, okay? Because when you do that, you change the traffic patterns. And it will surprise you how long you will lengthen the lifetime of a floor just by moving a table or a rug to where you force somebody to walk a different direction.
Yep.
Anything else? I mean, other things that can cause the lifetime to be shortened are bad installs, spills, damage. And that's just something we can't predict. And we don't know how well you want to live with it. Okay, Jason, this customer's getting a new home and they want to get some amazing floors for it. They're new to flooring. What do you recommend for them? That's kind of an open question.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I bet they have a hard time choosing restaurants too. What do you bet?
Probably.
Just guess.
That's a preference question. Personally, in mine, I like the LVPs. Ted likes wood better.
I'm cheap. In case
So-
we haven't addressed that.
Yeah, I think you've addressed that many times.
I'm cheap.
Yeah.
Jason's talking about it from an emotional standpoint. Jason built a new house. I guess it's been 15 years ago
Yeah.
now, hadn't it? And he ran his hardwood floor on a 45. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. I mean, it really looked good. Unfortunately, it costs a lot because you got to cut every board. Labor costs are high. You waste more material. So if I want to see one run on 45, I'll go to his house. I love a herringbone floor. I'm not going to pay the money it costs. Me, I'm going to put down whatever's inexpensive. I'm hoping to build a house soon. We had some maple come in. It's quarter sawn, rift and quarter sawn maple. The boards are about 7 inches wide. It's absolutely gorgeous. I happened to have it on sale for $1.99, so I bought some of it. If he asks, I bought some of it. In reality, I didn't pay for it. I stole it and put it in the back of the store. But I bought it because it was a great value. I chose it because it's a great deal. So whether you want to walk in there and get whatever you want because it appeals to you, or you're shopping with value, that's up to you. The only thing we ask is research, okay? Learn about your floors. A lot of times when we buy emotionally or even buy them because they're cheap, we find out a year later that's really not what we wanted, okay? Find out what you want. Research, is the floor going to be cold? Is it going to be hard to clean? What's special? Every floor is different, and it's our goal to help you find the floor that is absolutely what makes you happy and then sell it to you. Okay? If you have questions, please don't hesitate. Call one of our salespeople. I mean, they're not as smart and good looking as Jason and I, or me and Jason, I think. Yeah, the way you say that.
Yeah.
But they're good at what they do, okay?
You know, when it's cold, they're going to have pets in their home. No,
Pets are another big one, right.
That's a big thing for picking out a floor.
Small children.
Yeah.
Not to compare small children to pets,
Right.
although there are some similarities. Okay, we better change subject
Yeah,
real quick.
that's
Okay. What's the most durable type of flooring out there?
I would say the 7 Series LVP,
Yeah.
the Nobility.
Yeah.
Um,
All LVP floors are going to be tougher than any hardwood floor because the way God made wood, they dent. Okay, LVPs. If you buy one of the newer, what do they call this?
SPCs.
SPCs, they're really not going to dent. Now your old WPCs, they'll dent
Yeah.
quite easily. SPC floors really won't dent. If you'll buy one of the higher end, like you said, our 7 Series, they have an aluminum oxide finish. Other than concrete, I think that's the least damageable floor that there is on the market, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
Even ceramic tile, you have to worry about staining in the grout. These
And
floors aren't going to stain.
They won't crack like ceramic.
They won't
so,
crack,
yeah.
right. It's hard to beat up. And you can buy them for what, $3.99? They're not an
Yeah.
expensive floor.
Under $4.
Right. If they go up later, you can dub these, right? Okay, good talk. Let's see. Is it a good idea to get hardwood flooring for a workout room? Well, first off, workout rooms just aren't that good of an idea to begin with. But since you asked what's a good idea to get hardwood flooring, no. Hardwood's probably going to dent. Either go with an LVP. Well, you know what? Any kind of floor, any kind of hard surface, you're going to put mats in there anyway.
Yeah.
You can't be dropping, because y'all know when I'm lifting, I like to do like 300-400 pounds, you know, and I take them up and then I slam them down,
Yeah.
and they're going to be hard on the floor.
Or do they slam down because you don't get them all the
That's
way
neither
up?
here nor there.
Okay.
But either way, they're getting slammed, okay? And they're, yeah. So probably,
I wouldn't recommend wood though.
I wouldn't put in wood.
Too much sweat, you know, dripping on the floor.
I'm doing that now.
But no, I wouldn't recommend hardwood.
Okay, so either probably an LVP.
LVP and put rubber mats where your weights
Yeah,
are.
right, because you know you don't have weights everywhere.
Right.
Okay, you did a good job answering that. Nice
Thanks.
job. Should I be worried about my hardwood if my toilet overflows because of water damage? I think what you meant was, should I be worried about my hardwood getting water damage because my toilet overflowed?
Yes, and you should be worried about that. If it happens, dry everything up as fast as possible. Throw a dehumidifier in there and let it run until it ain't suck, but just a little bit of water out.
And eat more fiber.
Yeah, but yeah, and if you do that quick enough, you may save it without having to pull it up.
Yeah. Good answer, Jason. Okay, is it hard to install flooring in the hallways of my house by myself? If it were me, yes. If it were Jason, no. So Jason's going to tell you how to make that not difficult.
I don't know how to tell you to make it not difficult. Hallways are the hardest part of doing a house because you got all the doorways to cut around and all that. Can you do it yourself? Yes.
It's just tedious.
It's just time consuming. And it's according to which way you run it. If we run it sideways down the hallway, it's a whole lot easier. If we run it long ways, it's much harder because you have lots of finish nailing to do, and you got a lot more face nailing because there just ain't no room in there. So just give yourself a little extra time, and it can be done yourself.
But it's going to depend, you don't get to choose which way you run it.
Right.
You have to run perpendicular to the floor trusses. Most of the time, hallways are running long ways in a house, which is perpendicular to trusses, so your boards need to run the long way.
Right. But not every time.
Not every time, yes. How much should a flooring installation cost for a living room?
How big's your living room? You can't say it by room.
That wasn't really my question. It was theirs.
You can't say it by room. Getting floor installed is going to run anywhere from $1.50 and up per square foot.
Well, you said anywhere from, and then you caved on it. You chickened. $1.50 in the cheapest places in the country. What are we seeing? Are we seeing any $5 a foot prices out there?
Here in North Carolina, we're seeing where we're at is $1.50. You get in some of the cities, you get up to $3.50 a square foot in some places. Big difference.
And there's other things that can cost besides installation of the wood. You might have take up old carpet, hauling it off, moving furniture. You're going to have to take up quarter around. You're going to have to take up baseboard. They're going to have to cut door jambs. There can be a lot of work on there, and you've got to remember that when an installer's doing that other work, he's not getting paid by the foot. So it slows him down, and he's going to charge for it. Living rooms are typically one of the bigger rooms, so they're easier. The good thing about hardwood flooring, and Jason and I both laid a lot of flooring, carpet, vinyl, LVP, laminate. We've laid all of them. He's a little better at it than I am. When you're laying a piece of carpet and you make a bad cut, you might have just bought a new piece. When you lay a piece of hardwood, if you cut one wrong, most likely if you'll stand it up, you can use it later. You don't have to waste it, but at worst, you throw that piece away. So if you have time on your hands and the right tools, don't be afraid to install a hardwood floor, okay? Make sure your tools have the guards on them that the manufacturer intended them to come with, and you probably won't cut a finger off. Hardwood floors aren't rocket science, especially the floating floors. Even I can lay those. With labor prices the way they are right now, we're going out and we're trying to buy a $2 floor instead of a $4 floor so we can save $2. You can probably save another $2, $3, or $4 by doing the install yourself. Don't be afraid to try it. Matter of fact, you can call Jason. If you run into a problem, you can call the stores. If our salespeople can't help you, ask for Jason. He'll help you. This is what he does every day. And we really do want to help you save some money here.
Yeah.
If you buy from us. If you're buying somewhere else, you can call them and leave us alone. Okay, someone installed my hardwood way too tight and it started to buckle up. Is there a way I can fix this myself, or do they need to redo the whole floor again? Man, there is a loaded question.
Yeah.
You want to do it the hard way or the easy way? Let's do it the hard way. How do you know they installed it too tight? Because it's buckling? That's not the answer. Most of the time, if a floor buckles, it's job site related. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear, but we have a rule here that we try to stay honest at least 95% of the time. Almost always when we see a floor buckle, certainly always with solid, it was because it's job site related. Could they have installed it too tight? Not really with solid. They could have, but an installer, if you hired a real installer, he's been here before. He's done this before. He knows he doesn't want to come back and fix it. If he installed it too tight, he's got to fix it. But most likely it's going to be moisture related. How do you tell, Jason?
Yeah, the only thing your installer could have done wrong is not check the moisture.
Right.
All our installers, wood installers, have moisture meters. First thing we do, they take it in the house, put it on the subfloor, and get a reading between it and the wood. If the subfloor's way too high, they get back in their truck and come back to the store.
and they get a day off that they didn't want. Okay,
Right.
they don't want to take that day off.
But they don't want to install your floor because if that moisture's too high, they know what it's going to do, and it ain't going to take long to do it.
Right. And here's a problem, because if you read the instructions in your box of wood, it probably says to acclimate it. And a lot of customers will stop right there. If you keep reading, it says make sure that the relative humidity is between 40% and 60%, the temperature is between here and here, moisture levels are here and here, and it has that over a period of days. And that's a little complicated. We don't acclimate wood ever. That's a sore subject with some of our manufacturers, okay? Because they want us to follow their rules so they don't get in trouble. We want to do it the right way so that nobody gets in trouble, okay? If we go to your house, the installer goes to your house and he checks that moisture and the moisture's high, acclimating that wood only makes the wood wet. Now they're both wrong. Now we install the wood, we turn on the air conditioner, it sucks the moisture out, and we've got cracks between every board in the house. Now, we followed the manufacturer's rules, most of them, okay, but we had problems. So the secret is get the moisture down in the house. If you're doing your own install, you can buy a moisture meter for $40, okay? Now, we're talking about solid here.
Yeah.
Engineered is not really a big deal. Don't tell the manufacturers I said that, but it's really not. With a solid, we want a floor to be between 7 and 12, okay? 7-12% humidity or moisture.
And the wood to be within 3% of what the
Right.
subfloor is.
3%, definitely on a 3 or 5, you got to
Yeah.
be within 3%. With a 2 1/4, you might get by with 4%.
Yeah.
But it's so important that the moisture in the house be right, and then the wood be right too. So if the house is right and you check the wood, and it's possible for wood to be a little dry.
Yeah.
You know, I've carried wood in the house that's only 5%. Now we're not talking about one board, because a quarter sawn board is going to hold less water than a flat sawn board. So check a series of them, just like when you're checking your subfloor. Check it twice per room. Write them down. Don't be afraid to write those numbers down. How many times, Jason, have you checked a house and you saw that over next to a door was a wet spot?
Right.
Okay, that has to be addressed. Why was a door been left open? Is it leaking? That's got to be addressed, because if it's wet in one spot, it's going to cause you problems. Okay.
Because when it's wet in front of the door, it's just going to keep going across that wood floor when you put it down, and
Right.
it may not buckle at that
That's right.
door. It may buckle in the middle of your room.
Right.
Because it's going to find the weakest spot it can to buck up.
And a solid wood floor, it cups. It'll look like a washboard. Generally, they don't lay all the way back down. You might get some of them. Can you sand it back down? You do, but you have to wait 12 months for it to go through a heating and cooling cycle, and then it's frozen after that. So we get this problem occasionally, and there's a lot of hard feelings involved. My installer did this, my installer did that, when most of the time it's not the installer's fault. Now, I'm not saying installers never do it. If an installer doesn't know a moisture meter from an AM radio, don't hire him, okay? If he doesn't carry a moisture meter in, he needs to stop right there and go get one. All right, because chances are, if he's not professional enough to use a moisture meter, he's not professional enough to pay for that claim when it goes bad either, okay? So would you anything to add to that? Mm-hmm. Now, what if it's an LVP floor or a floating floor? Generally, those are the same way. There's some moisture been added. Look around. If a floating floor is buckling, it's hitting somewhere, okay? We know that, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. It might be just one odd spot in the door jamb where a nail got laid down, a screw's laying there, or a chunk of wood fell in it. Anything can cause it. So, try to get a feel for where it is the peak the most. Go over there and pop a baseboard off and see. That's about all you can do. Is there a way to fix it? If it's a floating floor, yes, it can be fixed. You can pull off the last row, trim the board, put it back down, right?
Yeah, and you can do the same thing with solid. You haven't popped the trim off, and they do make saws you can cut down the walls with. And just because they're tight to the wall, though, they could have, if you got a moisture problem, they could have had a gap and it swelled up to
That's
the wall.
right.
We have
Right.
seen that happen.
Yeah, we had a claim on a laminate floor one time that the manufacturer denied, and they said, hey, you installed it too tight to the wall. Well, it just so happened they were exactly 10-inch boards. We measured like 200 inches, and it was a half a board off. It had grown 3 inches. Okay, lots of moisture in that application, and we went back to the manufacturer. Listen, there's no way we could leave an 1.5 inch expansion on this floor. They replaced it. Okay, so there's some gray area there. That one was hard. Do we not get to take a break for lunch after that question? Let's see. I heard that solid hardwood floor is better for scratch resistance than engineered flooring. Is that true?
No, it'd be the same. Go ahead, you take that one.
You know, are we talking about denting the floor, or are we talking about scratches to the surface? Either way, if it sort of depends on the species of wood, but you know, softer the wood is, the more it's going to dent. What we typically consider scratches or dents. Wow, that I would say that dent engineered floors are more dent resistant than a solid. If you buy quality one, okay.
But they're asking about scratching.
Yeah, there's really not any difference. They both have an aluminum oxide infused finish. There's really not any difference. Okay, we really let them down on that question, didn't we? Okay, here's a good question. Is cabin wood flooring worth buying today? Yeah. That really is an interesting question. The market's odd right now. I don't know when you're watching this, but we are, when are we in? We're at the 1st of August of 21. Market's really screwy right now. We've got labor problems. You know about the wood problems, the lumber problems they've had over the last year. We've seen lumber prices really fluctuate. So hardwood pricing is the most volatile it's ever been. What's interesting about cabin grade is its leftovers, okay? The industry doesn't run by cabin grade prices. The industry runs off of S4S, the number one lumber. So when manufacturers go buy number one lumber, or they buy the whole tree and they saw it, cabin grade is what's left over, okay? So all of their projections are done on the better material, the first quality, the running line material, and that's where they make their money. Cabin grade is supply and demand, 100% supply and demand. If it stacks up on them at the mill, the price comes down. If there's none of it in the mill, the price goes up. Well, because the number one stuff is so high right now, cabin grade is a little bit less of a value because it's supply and demand. There's less of it out there. We are fortunate. We have a deal with the manufacturer. We take all of theirs. So we've only seen one small price increase in the last 4 years. Other manufacturers or other retailers are going up quite a bit on theirs. So is cabin grade flooring worth buying today? At really cheap floors, it's a better buy today than it's ever been. I mean, I'm not being arrogant or talking hyperbole. When you can buy a cabin grade that's the quality of ours with aluminum oxide finish, solid for $1.99, and the same product number one's $4.99. It doesn't take a mathematician or an accountant to figure out. Either way, the floor is getting covered.
Right.
Okay. You got anything to add?
Mm-hmm.
I think cabin grade's a great deal, but you know you need to see it. Don't look at one board. Look at, what is 10 boards, 20 boards? What's a room going to look like? Are you going to be happy with it? It's going to have shorter boards. It's going to have more contrast and color between the boards. You may see some wormhole in some of it, okay? You're not really going to see open knot in our cabin. If you do, it's going to be really small. They throw that out. If you don't like short boards, you probably don't need to buy a cabin. But once you get it down, usually knowing you saved enough money to pay for all your kitchen cabinets, that's kind of a deal killer. So I think it's a great idea. Jason, how much should an installation cost for a 1,500 square foot house?
Didn't we answer this earlier?
Yeah, but the people that asked this one don't know about that. You got to answer it again. You answered it for a living room.
Hardwood flooring costs $1.50 a square foot and up. I'd say up to $3 a square foot according to where you're living.
And so much of it's to do with how much extra. You got furniture to move, do you have trim to replace?
Yeah. Is it a new house? Is it, a remodel? That makes a big difference. They're going to charge you tear up if you got old carpet.
Why don't you give them a price assuming that our customers, because our customers are kind of smart, right? That's why they see us. Let's say that they're going to do all their own take up. They're going to move their own furniture. They're going to take up the quarter round. All they want is somebody to come in and install the floor and put the quarter round back down. What's it going to cost?
Well, I can't figure the quarter round.
I'm guess.
It's
a whole house. So let's say it's 800 feet. Is 800 feet quarter round fair?
Let's see, 1,500 foot would be, what, $22.50?
$22.50, $1.50.
Yeah, $2,250 to install the wood. And then if you did do quarter round, you're looking at $1.50 a linear foot
So if the
to
rooms are
furnish
all-
and install it.
So if the bedrooms are 15 by 15s, you're looking at $60 a room
Yeah.
to put in quarter round. Let's say you got 3 bedrooms, you're another almost 200. The hallway, you're going to spend $500 on quarter round
Yeah.
that furnishes it, that paints it, and that installs
So
it.
you're under $3,000 to install it.
Yeah, under $3,000.
Yeah.
You know, if you want furniture moved, you got to take up, all that's going to cost.
Yeah.
Hauling off of old stuff. But don't be afraid if you're going to pay somebody to install. You feel like maybe that's a little bit more you want to do. Don't be afraid to do some of the material. Okay, so like the take up or the furniture.
Yeah.
Another one of the good things about hardwood installation when you're taking up carpet, you don't have to take out the whole room like you do with carpet. When you're putting in new carpet, new vinyl, that room has to be emptied. Okay, but if you're putting in hardwood, you can scoot the furniture all to one side, take up half of it, install that half, move the furniture and take up that. It's not near as disruptive.
Right.
Okay, enough of that question. Jason, I heard using short boards makes a room look bigger. Is it worth money to use only short boards to install with?
Using short boards ain't gonna make the room look bigger.
Makes it look busier.
Makes it look busier. The only way I think making a room look bigger is if when you walk in the room and it's running long ways, it can make the room look longer.
Or if you put mirrors on the walls.
Or if you put
That
mirrors
makes
on
rooms
there.
look bigger. I've seen
Yes.
that. It's really weird.
Short boards are going to cost you less.
Yeah, you're going to spend extra money on them.
Yeah,
We can hook you up with some short boards.
yeah. But no, it is not going to make your room look bigger. Maybe busy.
Okay, how important are the length of hardwood boards for installation? Are short boards bad?
No, short boards ain't bad. You're just handling more boards. A lot of installers hate short boards because it's just more work.
It's more work. Yeah.
But there's nothing bad about it. You're just, you're doing more nailing because you get a lot of foot long boards and it's at least 2 nails per board,
Maybe 3.
maybe 3.
Now, one of the good things about short boards is a lot of people want a more country look, and when you want a country look, there's 2 ways you can go about it. The expensive way is to buy boards that are wide and maybe hobnail them and hand scrape them and things like that. But another way is to have lots of contrast. You get almost like a quilt, where you got lots of different colors in it. A short boarded red oak natural or white oak natural floor. When you start pulling out 5 or 6 boards, you think, man, I don't like this. I've got a full range of colors. But when you get it down, like I said, it almost gives you a quilt-like appearance, and it has a great deal of feel. Is it what you want? Well, you need to do a little background. We've got pictures of installed rooms on our website. If you don't see the pictures you want, ask for some more. Let's find out if that's what you want and help you save some money. Jason, can installing hardwood flooring save me money by keeping the house cooler or warmer? No. Next question. Why do people hate wormholes in wood so much? Does it devalue the flooring or something? Why do some people hate onions on a hot dog? Okay.
A lot of people love the wormhole.
I've had people ask if I'd get stuff with all wormholes. So why do they hate it? Some do, some don't. Okay. I actually like them. That they do not offer any kind of problem whatsoever. There's no more live worms in it. You've heard some cases of
People say,
yeah,
got worms
once in a
in it.
million. Okay, it's not from the worms; it's from other bugs. I think wormholes look kind of cool. Again, one of the questions we answered earlier were people wanted rustic-looking floors, short board length, variation in color, wormholes, closed knots. All of those are ways that you get a rustic look. You're not going to get a rustic look using select wood. It doesn't work that way, okay? If you want rustic, you have to get rustic attributes. It's the only way you're going to do it. Does it devalue the flooring? Actually, it does. Flooring, lumber in general, is graded by mostly its visual attributes. Board length is certainly one of them, but how much variation in color it has. Wormholes will always kick lumber into number 2 and into cabin grade. Always. You won't see wormhole in number 1, okay? You won't see an average board length of 14 inches in number 1. You can see that in number 2. You won't see a knot bigger than 1/8 of an inch that's open in a number 1. That falls to number 2. So, will ground beef ever cost more than a prime rib? No. because it was down there for a reason. I tend to use a lot of food analogies.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Let's see. Should I insulate under my floor?
Yes.
I mean, yes. Come on, expound on it. They know yes. Come on. Why?
It's cold.
Well,
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should always insulate under your floor, just for heat and cooling purposes. One thing.
Moisture.
And moisture.
and we'll talk about a moisture barrier. You should always go into there too while we're on that subject.
Yes, under the house, and you should always have plastic under the house if you have a crawl space. That's where, in a lot of floors, we go when we check moistures, and it's high, and the first thing they go look, and there's no plastic under the house. And I know it's bone dry under there, but it's all the moisture coming up out of the dirt that goes up into your house.
And it might be when it rains.
Yeah.
There's a reason those vents are under there. It's
Yeah.
because moisture. So what the industry recommends is a 4 mil plastic. They recommend that you run it about 10 inches up the sides of your little walls down there. They recommend you tape the joints. What we're trying to do is to have a really effective moisture barrier. Now I have seen people staple it to the bottom of the floor. If you don't want the plastic down on the dirt in a crawl space, but it makes it a little hard to get to stuff later.
And the reason they want it run up on the concrete, so if you do have any water come in, it goes under the plastic instead of on top of it.
Yeah, water underneath plastic doesn't hurt hardwood floors. Water over top of it does. If you go into your house and you see water on top of your plastic, you got to fix that, okay? Yeah. That's the problem. Okay, what type of flooring do you want for a laundry room?
I would use a waterproof. An LVT, LVP, a lot of moisture in there. So I would want something waterproof, especially if I had a leak.
Maybe if I'm doing the whole house in wood, would I be willing to run wood in there? Probably, but if I'm doing it standalone, yeah, I would definitely.
If I was doing wood through the whole house and wanted something waterproof in there, I'd put a LVT, a tile pattern, just to break it up.
Why wouldn't you put roll goods in there? I mean, really, what's wrong with a good, medium quality roll goods?
I like the LVT personally better. When you want to move your washer and dryer, you ain't gonna tear it.
Who moves a washer and dryer?
Well,
it's the hookups are right there in one spot. It's not like a couch. Honey, let's put the washer and dryer over here this week.
Well, if you ever replace them, or if you
clean
behind them.
Why would you clean behind them?
Because some people like to.
It's weird.
You gotta get the lint out.
Doesn't it go in the filter?
Yeah, but not always.
Well, I like roll goods in that application because I don't have to worry about anything except tearing the vinyl if I'm going to move the washer and dryer.
Me?
I just want to see your opinion. I want you to agree with me, Jason, because I want you to be right.
I don't agree with you on this one.
Well, does anybody else move their washer and dryer around?
Some people.
We'd like to hear some feedback on that, okay? All right. I heard that using soap to clean your flooring is a bad idea because it gets sticky. Is that true? Yes. Don't ever use soap on your floor. No Tide, no Lysol cleaner, no spick and span cleaner. It has to be a no rinse cleaner, okay? Always no rinse cleaner. Because what happens, it has soap in it or oils. Can't use the Murphy oil soap. It leaves a residue on there. It gets sticky, dust sticks to it, and then you're calling and you're griping saying, hey, that floor you sold me, it lost its shine. It's only been 4 months. Might have heard that a few times. What do you clean it with? Well, we clean it with Dawn dishwashing soap. Yeah, remember when you wash your hands with soap and it's really hard to get all the soap out from under there? Well, running a damp mop over your floor a couple times does not get all that residue off. Don't do it. Use the Bona cleaner, the Bruce cleaner. There's some other ones out there. It's real important. Use a no rinse cleaner. I might have gotten a little animated on that.
You may have.
It's been a long morning. Let's see. This person heard that you should polish or wax your laminate floor all the time to keep them very shiny. Is that true, Jason?
No, never wax your laminate floor. It will not stick. Yeah, that's definitely false.
That's a no.
That's a no.
Don't accept any more advice from the person that told you that, okay? Is it hard to install flooring around the bathtub and toilet by myself?
No. It is not.
It's hard to install it around the toilet.
It
Don't
is
do
hard.
it.
Yeah, you don't install it around the toilet anyway. You pull the toilet. You'll have to buy new wax rings. You might have to buy new bolts to make them longer because the hardwood is going to raise it up.
Excuse me, do you have a video on how to change out a toilet?
No, I ain't a plumber.
How many toilets have you changed out in your life?
I don't know.
Would you say
As many as
thousands?
A lot of plumbers. And as far as the bathtub, it ain't hard because you leave a little expansion there anyway. Run you a little caulk in there, then put your cord around to kind of seal water from getting down under it, and that's pretty much it.
Changing a toilet is really easy. Don't let that intimidate you. You just take out the 2 bolts, turn the water off, unhook the water supply, and it lifts right up.
Yeah.
Okay. It can get a little nasty when you're replacing that. He said you got to replace a wax ring. That old one might be a little stinky, but it's not that bad. Okay. Just when you unbolt it, lean it back before you move it off the hole in the floor so that more of the water can drain out. It's clean water. It's going to splash a little bit. Set it in the bathtub.
There's an easier way.
There is?
Yes.
What?
To get the water out.
Huh.
If you have a shop vac, after you turn all the water off and you flushed it, there's still some water in the tank and in the bottom of the toilet. So take your shop vac and it will get all the water out. So when you lift it up, there's no water gets on the floor.
Inevitably, when you pick it up, there's always a little water pours out, and people get freaky over it. It's not urine or nothing.
No, but you can use a shop vac and it'll get all.
That's a really good, nice
is.
job on the inside. You should do a video on how to replace a toilet. I bet you get a bunch of
Whose
views.
toilet?
Not mine. Shut up. Okay. Wood grades are so confusing, I just don't understand them. Can you tell me what is a wood grade and why is that important? Okay. I'm going to assume that you mean a hardwood flooring grade. The difference between hardwood flooring grades and wood lumber grades is very different, okay? So, being that you've, entered this question via a hardwood site, I'm going to assume we're talking about hardwood flooring. All right, we really have, there's hardwood qualities versus hardwood grades, okay? Hardwood grades are typically applied to unfinished wood. There are no defined grades for pre-finished, okay? So they don't cross over very well, but what we can do is look at these unfinished grades and allow you to apply the different attributes to pre-finish so you can grade them. I know it's a little confusing, but if I'm going to answer a question, I'm going to answer it honestly, or at least as well as I know how. There's about 3 common grades in hardwood flooring. There's select and better, there's number 1 or number 1 and better, and there's number 2, okay? Select and better, we're talking about oak in this case. If we cut down a whole tree, about 50% of the tree is going to be select and better. Select and better tends to be longer. And remember that when you cut a tree, it's always in 16-foot boards, okay? So every board when it comes out is 16 foot long. And what they have to do is they have to grade it. If they look at that board and it has if it has wormholes right in the middle, that whole board is number 2. Until they cut it. Now they take that short piece and put it in number 2, and those 2 7-footers that are left are selecting better again. So that's what happens. The board length can kick one down. The physical attributes can kick it down. The aesthetics, okay, if it has a lot of color variation or sapwood, which is the center, the sapwood can run down the grade. So we're talking about unfinished. So color, board length, things like wormhole, knots, those can get them down. Select and better, used to use a lot of it when they done a lot of pre-finished wood, or a lot of unfinished wood. Then your number 1 common. Again, it'll run about 40% of the tree. So it's another real common. Number 2 common is the least common grade in a tree. It'll usually run about 5 to 8%. You'll notice we didn't come up with 100. Some of it goes into the pallet grade. That's the junk that they can't use for flooring. So there's very little number 2 in a tree. Where things get mixed up is a lot of that wood that went into number 1 because of coloration, as long as we're going to pre-finish it with a saddle or a dark gray color, we can stain that and kick it up into a grade that would have been select. So even though that unfinished board would have been a number 2, now it's a select. And that's why the grading rules for unfinished are not really applicable to pre-finished wood. Now we're going to talk about reality in wood grades, okay? The reality is we have essentially about 3 different grades in the pre-finished business. We've got the stuff that looks like one common and better, and that's your traditional floor. Traditionally about 90% of floors go into what they call number 1, first quality. Okay, that's where most of the wood goes. They'll take the stuff that has the dark stains to it. They'll stain it dark so it can, still be sold as a high grade. And the only reasons that floors will fall out of that is because of board length, knots that exceed maybe 3/8 of an inch, wormholes, or really big color variation. If you get a black streak in a board, that's going to kick that down into cabin grade. Now, over the last 3 or 4 years, there's been another grade develop. As your dark colors have become less popular, there's less places for the manufacturers to put a great 7-foot long board that's perfect, but it had some gray in it. In the past, when they sold a lot of gray and a lot of saddle, they could put that up there. Now they can't. So it's still a long, sound board that has more color variation in it. And we're starting to see what's called dirty builder floors, where it'll have the long boards, it won't have the wormholes, it won't have the knots, but it'll have more color variation. What grade is that? There really isn't a grade that's attributed to that in the industry. And that's why if you ask anybody that sells pre-finished floors what grade it is, they're going to look at their watch or look at the ceiling. They really can't answer that. What you need to see, if you want to grade a floor, look at an open box, okay? What kind of floor is that open box going to make? If it's got a lot of shorts, your floor is going to it's going to have a lot of shorts in it. They'll say we can throw those out. Not if they're 30% of the box, you can't, okay? Your hardwood installer is not in charge of grading. The grader's the guy that puts the wood in the box. The second lineup of grading is the consumer that buys that. Don't expect your installer to grade your floor for you, okay? If you want a number 1 floor, don't buy number 2 and tell them to grade it out. Go buy a number 1 floor, but look at an open box. Find what you want in a box and buy it, okay? That's really what you need to concern yourself with in grading. That was a really long answer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Would you add anything to that?
No. Like
It's
said,
really a tough
question.
question.
You can't buy a number 2 and make it number 1. You
No,
just
you
can't
really
do
can't.
it. We've had people do that. Say, hey, I got all this waste, and say, well, send me a picture of what was waste. And they threw out 100 short boards.
Right, they'll throw out everything.
With them, but they just stacked all the short ones
Yeah.
in the over on the wall.
You've got to be really careful to buy what you want. Don't buy a $2 floor and expect it to wind up being a $4 floor.
Right.
It's not going to work. We offer value. We don't offer magic. That's a pretty good line. I might get a tattoo of that. So.
Okay.
Okay, good talk. Whew, that sheet's done. Okay. Does solid wood flooring have any disadvantages compared to engineered flooring? I don't know we'll call them disadvantages. It has different attributes, so in certain applications, maybe it doesn't perform as well. Why is there engineered flooring? Well, if we take a solid wood floor in some applications where we can't control the moisture, say over concrete, okay? The way God made natural hardwood floors, they're going to expand and contract and cause you problems. There's just not room for that. So what engineered floors offer us is stability. The way they're made with alternating layers. The more layers, the higher the quality of floor. Really, it's not the thickness of the floor that matters, although the thickness of the top is the veneer is kind of impressive, but really it's the number of plies. Most of our engineered we sell has 8 plies, and that's good, all right? That's about the best you're going to buy. Even though it offers a great value at $1.49, it's still really well constructed. Thought I'd slip that in there, it's free. So an engineered floor is made to, if your moisture levels come up or if you get a lot of direct sunlight, it won't expand and contract or warp because of that additional stability. So that's why engineered's there. And can you put engineered over a wood subfloor? Absolutely. You can put it where you would use solid wood. It'll just be a little more stable. Another big benefit of most of our engineered floors, all of our Somerset floors, is they're face sawn. That means that when they cut the lumber, it was cut straight across the grain, just like a solid piece of wood. So once it's installed, you can't tell the difference. You get, people say, I can tell the difference. No, you can't, okay? Now, when you look at a cheap engineered floor that's rotary peeled, okay, they take a log, they spin it, and they cut around it. That gets a higher yield, but it gives it a weird look. And you'll see that in your low-end floors, okay? But all of our Somerset floors are flat sawn, so they make an amazing look at half the price. So that's what the advantage are. Is there an advantage of solid over an engineered? Not really. Well, you can sand it. Well, yeah, you can sand it, but how many people ever do that? 1 out of 100?
Yeah.
Okay. What are the best kind of transition strips to use for installing floor? I'm going to take this one. Use the correct one.
Yeah.
Okay? That's easy. There's about 3 really common transition pieces. You got your T-mold. That's meant to bridge a transition between 2 hard surface floors that are the same height. You can have a little bit of variation, maybe 1/8 of an inch. If you got much more than that, you need to use a reducer. Okay? Reducer is what we would use if we're going from a 3/4 hardwood floor or a 1/2 inch hardwood floor down to a sheet vinyl or something, where's our height difference. The third really common one is a stair nose, and we use that where we're going off a landing or off the top step. It gives you a finished edge there that looks a lot better. That cover that?
Yeah, other than threshold.
Threshold, we usually use those.
Don't use them very little.
No, they cost too much. Let's see. What can you tell me about Cortec products, like pros and cons? I could answer that for you, but we did a really good video on our website and a blog that gets into that very deeply. Okay, that's not a question I want to answer halfway. And we've done a really good job with visuals and some graphics. So go over and watch that. LVP products themselves all have pros and cons. Cortec has a few that are exclusive to that brand, but you don't really want us to address that here. How do I install solid hardwood flooring over concrete?
You don't.
Good answer.
That's our recommendation. If I want
Can
to,
you?
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
You can jump out of an airplane, but why?
But if you want to do a glue down, buy an engineered. It's going to look the same. You can't tell the difference.
Buy a good engineered.
Yeah.
Like ours.
But anyway, thing with solid ain't, the boards won't be perfectly straight. So when you try to glue them on concrete, you have no way of holding them in there with if you strap every row, and it's going to take you forever. Plus, the glue's going to cost you twice as much.
Oh, 3 times. Some of that glue's brutal.
So,
And you can't control your moisture, okay? So if you get excessive moisture coming through your slab, your wood's going to expand. All of your wood's going to come loose from the floor, and you're going to start over.
Yeah. And
don't do
like glue for solid wood on concrete. To do 100 square foot, the glue's going to cost you $150 to $200.
Yeah, more than
just
the wood.
To do that.
Let me ask this question again. How do I install solid hardwood flooring over concrete? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Next question. What is a matte finish, Jason?
Matte finish would be a low gloss, like
Low.
20%, 10 to 20% gloss level, very little sheen. Some people think, well, it ain't going to wear. Well, it has the same wear as.
Just change gloss level.
Yeah, they just lower sheen.
And a lot of people, they see that 10% gloss and they'll call and say, hey, this wood didn't get finished. Yeah. It's finished. It doesn't have any gloss to it. I like a matte finish.
Yeah. They are getting more popular.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't. Honestly, if there's one advantage, they don't show change in appearance or scratches as much as a glossier floor. All right, Jason, what staining product do you prefer when staining wood?
Overall, the staining I've ever done, I always preferred men wax.
Will they send you any money? They give you free stuff?
No, they won't give you nothing.
They should.
They should. But no, for years I sanded and finished floors, and even on our quarter round we use the men wax. It just goes on easier and more even.
Don't look at me. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, men wax.
The only thing I know about stains is I get them on my shirt. I wore a fresh one today.
That's at lunch, right?
That's right, after lunch. Okay. Can water seep through vinyl plank floors? Yes. You'll hear vinyl plank floors called waterproof. That means they don't move when you add water. That does not mean water cannot go through them. Okay. Let's see. Does luxury vinyl flooring look cheap? It's hard to tell when all the pictures from any product look too perfect in model homes. I would agree with that. Let me tell you, personally, I think a lot of LVP floors look cheap. However, we have our Shaw 7 series that has a couple of attributes that keep it from looking cheap. The one that really thrills me is the registered embossing. Now, when you do embossing, that's the texture on the surface of a floor, okay? A pine floor has a different visual than an oak floor, but they may get the exact same embossing, okay? They don't match it. In our 7 series, the embossing is matched to the visual in the floor. We dumb it down so we can understand it. See a knot, feel a knot. When you see a knot in our 7 series, the texture matches it. And you can't realize how important that is until you hold a piece in your hand. So ask for a sample or go by one of our locations. Look at that 7 series. It's amazing. And that's why they make it in wider boards and they make it in these visuals. What are some of the names of them? The oak. You got those big wide 10-inch boards in the 7 series.
Oh, the earthy pine.
Earthy pine. Oh my goodness. Earthy pine is absolutely gorgeous.
Pine.
Yeah. Pine just has some unique visuals. And when you do the registered embossing to match it, it's a score. So if you think our LVP looks cheap, look at our 7 series. You won't think that anymore. Actually, you'll think everybody else's looks cheap and you'll want to buy ours, which is really what our goal is. Let's see. Next question. What kind of flooring should I install for an apartment building?
If it's like a rental apartment building, I would put a glue down LVP. The reason being, if you have any damage from a renter, very easy to replace one board.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the whole floor up to change one board. You can pull one out of the middle, put more glue in it, and put another board in there.
Because when you're gluing down LVP, you use a pressure sensitive glue, and what that means is it will release. It's not like your old clear set for VCT that it was like pulling a yellow line off a highway. Okay, these will come up. Another thing is because you're gluing it down, it's not floating. You don't have to worry about moisture issues, and it's almost indestructible, and it's cheap.
It is.
I'm going to tell you about this real quick. Okay, most of your direct glue stuff is sold in huge lots for commercial applications. So if somebody has a small lot, if a manufacturer has a couple thousand feet left over, he can't sell that to commercial market anymore, and they'll dump it to people like us, and you can buy that stuff for nothing. You can buy a 20 mil for 75 cents. We usually have a 20 mil for 75 cents here, and man, you put that in there and you're not going to replace it probably ever. Okay, great deal there. Jason, what LVP floor do you recommend for most family homes? I hate shopping. I need to buy something before my wife kills me. Yeah, because buying something after your wife kills you is really counterproductive.
Yep. I'd probably let my wife pick it out.
Chicken.
Yeah. What would I recommend in LVP? I'd recommend at least a 12 or 20 mil. Personally, I'd recommend a 20 mil. You can get it for 30 cents more.
Yeah, there's not much.
It's got double the wear layer.
But listen, when you're buying an LVP, there's about 4 or 5 step-ups, okay? It's just like going to buy a car. We don't go into the dealership and buy the cheapest car. We look at attributes. What do you want? You want air conditioning? You want bigger engine? You want third row of seats? What do you want? What attributes? And you look at each one of those and you see how much more they cost. Now, in a car, going from the least expensive to the most expensive, you're going to drop another 50 grand. With LVP, from our cheapest one to our most expensive is only a couple of dollars, okay? And there's some very real advantages. So, honestly, you and your wife, watch our videos. Watch our LVP video that we made. Read our blogs. Find out not only which attributes make a floor last longer, find out which of those characteristics appeal to you, or more importantly, to your wife, okay? Let's save money, but let's get what we want, or again, what your wife wants, okay? Because we don't want to kill you.
And if you hate shopping, go to our website, look at the colors after you've went through all the blogs. Read
the blogs and watch the video first, okay? I'm telling you, there's information
Then
there.
we'll send you samples and you don't even have to come in.
You won't have to go shopping, okay?
Yeah.
And you can narrow it down to 3 and then let your wife pick. And,
Yeah.
you've eliminated everything, so you're going to get what you want and she gets what she wants instead of a different husband. Okay, can old hardwood flooring be recycled? You can turn it into smoke?
Yeah. Have a good bonfire.
No, you can't. Let's see. If I wanted good-looking floors for real cheap, what should I buy? I'm talking dirt cheap, third world country, bumpkin cheap. I'm your man, baby, okay? You have come to the right dude. I'm the cheapest son of a gun that ever sold hardwood flooring. I will save you more money than anybody in the country, I promise you. All right. Cheapest way to buy it, small lots. If we have 200 or 300 feet, there's just not that many applications we can sell it in. Come to one of our warehouse sales, you can buy that stuff for 30 or 40 cents a foot, okay? 30 or 40 cents per square foot. You want to do a 300 room for under $100? I'm your man, okay? You want a bigger lot? Look into some of our seconds, okay? Sometimes we'll buy stuff, a lot of wood that's off shade. It was supposed to be in this shade of brown or this shade of gunstock. It's one shade off. It's a second. What's wrong with it? Nothing. It doesn't match the stuff they made last week. Therefore, it's a second. Maybe it's a gloss level off. Sometimes we have a hard time describing those online, or maybe it's a different defect. Still, we don't buy anything that's unusable. So if we can't sell it online, it's too small to validate putting pictures on there, we'll stick it in a warehouse sale. Great value, okay? I'm here to tell you, you're not going to buy hardwood flooring cheaper in this country than what we can sell it to. We're just starting a new program with a great manufacturer, Mullican, over in Eastern Tennessee. We're going to be offering 3/8 thick, domestic, made in the U.S. oak floors for 79 cents. 4 colors, you can buy as much or little as you want. 79 cents. Man, that's 70% less than any LVP floor. And it's a natural hardwood floor. So you want stuff cheap, give us a call. If you don't see something you want, give one of our salespeople a call. Maybe they've got something they know about that's not even listed on the website. Maybe it's going to be in the warehouse sale. They'll lay it on you, brother. All right? Call us. All right, Jason, if I have extra flooring boxes left over after I install it, can I get a refund on them and send them back?
Yes, you can. We do have a 30-day refund policy. So as long as it's within the 30 days, yes, we will take them back. But keep in mind, if it's something we ship to you, you would have to pay shipping back, and sometimes it's going to cost you more in shipping than your refund would be for the wood. So,
right. And sometimes we sell closeouts that we don't buy back.
Yeah.
If it's sold as a
it has
closeout.
to be a running line. If it was a take all or something like that, we ain't going to take it back anyway.
The secret to that is measure it closely, okay?
Yeah.
Our salespeople can tell you how much waste. You don't need to order 15, 20% extra wood, okay? Don't do it, ever. There's not a product we sell that you need to order 20% extra. Well, you know, you're trying to make it look a little bit better. Then buy a higher grade of wood, okay? Don't expect to grade it out of it. So, you know, if you'll stick 5 to 10% on a floor, you've got plenty. Keep a couple of extra boxes for an insurance because they're not that expensive. A 20-foot box is 40, 50 bucks. Stick it under the steps and you've got it if you ever need it. Will online ordering be an option in the future of really cheap floors? No. I'll tell you why. Because we want to speak to every customer. I found out the secret to happy customers many years ago. And I'm going to share it, just the three of us and you today, okay? It's important you not share this with everybody. We have to make sure that when we sell you something, that the reality meets or exceeds your expectations. Okay, we can't do that unless we talk to you because a lot of our grades are not common grades, okay? People say, hey, you know what? My cousin bought some cabin grade 4 years ago and he liked it. I'm going to buy some, but I don't like short boards. Then you don't need to buy cabin grade flooring, okay? We want to talk to you. We want you to know what's in a box. We want to know what your expectations are. Sometimes a customer comes to us with expectations that are too high. We have two choices. We can help you change your expectations, or we can send you to our competitor, okay? We can't change the reality that's in the box. So if our salespeople are very aware of what's in that box, and they're honest, and they will be, or they won't be our salespeople anymore, they can convey to you what's in that box and match it up with your expectations and make you happy. Certainly our goal is to exceed expectations, but never is it acceptable for us not to meet them. And that's why you'll never see online purchasing at Really Cheap Floors. What does satin finish mean for flooring? Satin was sort of like the matte question we had earlier. It's just a lower gloss. As a general rule, probably 80% of floors are satin.
Yeah.
It's kind of vague. It's anywhere from 20 to 50% gloss. Anything over 50 I would call gloss.
Yeah.
although most of your glosses run about 60 or 70%, they're kind of shiny. And then you got your matte finishes that'll be 20 and under. Some of those look like they don't even have finish on them. But satin is the vast majority of the floors that we offer. Let's see, what's the best type of scratch resistant flooring, Jason?
The best scratch resistant is aluminum oxide.
Yeah.
Whether it's wood, LVP, whatever, aluminum oxide's your hardest finish.
Well, and then we've
but
got
LVP is a little
right. We got two ways we can look at a scratch. You know, if we take an SOS pad to something and we hit it, it'll change the gloss level. That's real fine scratches. If we take a hammer and hit it, is that a scratch? That's really not a scratch. It's a dent. Okay, so the dents are controlled more by the density of the product. And the way God made wood, wood dents. Okay. A high quality engineered floor, because they've put a very dense core in it, will dent less than most solids. But an LVP will dent less, SPC certainly. Your SPC cord products will dent less than anything. All three of those have the potential of having an aluminum oxide finish, so the SOS pad or steel wool are going to affect them the same, but the LVP will actually dent less. Right. Is that too complicated?
No.
Okay. Let's see here. Jason, customer says, should I get wood flooring for my garage? I'm worried about the weight of my vehicle crushing the floor.
No, you shouldn't get wood in your garage. One thing, the weight of your cars, turning your tires, probably pull the wood apart.
Yeah.
Second, you're going to have a lot of moisture in your garage, and it's going to buck up and come loose anyway. Unless
you live in California out west right now,
right.
They don't have any rain.
Right. But no, don't put wood in your garage.
Okay, this customer says, I'm new to installing floors and wondering what is the best kind of flooring to learn to install by myself.
The easiest self-install would be LVP.
Or any kind of click together floor.
Any click together,
right.
Much easier. You don't have to have near the tools. You don't have to have the nailers, the compressors, and all that. You can do a LV or a floating floor with one saw. You can use a jigsaw or skill saw, and that's all you need.
Another part that's overlooked a lot is floor prep. Okay, in the old days when we laid a lot of vinyl and vinyl tile, it took more time to prep the floor than it did to put down the actual vinyl or the tile. So, with a wood floor, there's a little more prep involved than there is in LVP. Any kind of floating floor typically has very little prep. You do have to be able to check moisture. You got a little bit of liability as an installer if you don't do that. But floating floors are a breeze to install. Yeah. Jason, how resistant is wood flooring if I drop something on fire on the floor?
No, it's wood. It'll burn.
Probably will.
Yeah.
Char at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Test that outside first.
Yeah, get you a sheet of plywood. Maybe we can do different levels of flammability. Another option is just don't drop something on fire on your floor.
Yeah.
Next question was a great follow-up. Is there a way to get rid of the burn markings on my floor?
Yes.
Rugs.
The only way to get rid of the burn marks would be to cut the board out and put new boards in.
Yeah, you could sand it, but if it's got any depth at all, you're going to sand the whole floor the same depth, or you're going to have a
big dip.
In the floor. It would be a great place to water your dog.
Yeah,
but that's not what you asked. Okay. Does flooring have a smell to it?
My opinion, no.
Glues do. If you're using a floor that you glue down, you'll notice smell for a few days. They're not supposed to. There's regulations out there about how much a floor can off-gas, and you've heard some of the horror stories about the Chinese floors that went to lumber liquidators. But as a general rule, no, off-gassing isn't a problem, except for lumber liquidators.
Now, if you had carpet in your house all the time, you rip it all out and you put wood, is it going to smell different? Yes, it's going to smell like wood.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And carpet, if you put it in, sometimes that, you'll have a little bit of smell there.
Yeah.
But Lumber Liquidators doesn't sell carpet.
No.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm starting a bakery. What kind of floor should I look into getting into with high foot traffic? Glue down LVP. In the old days, we would have sold you a glue down VCT, a vinyl composition tile. The downside to VCT is it didn't have a finish on it. So depending on how much traffic you had and how particular you were, you had to come in there and wax it and buff it periodically. Well, that would cost anywhere from 25 to 50 cents a square foot. 3 or 4 times a year, it got expensive. You're better. You can go buy a 20 mil direct glue LVP now, an SPC product, which stands for Stone Polymer Core. It means it's very hard. It won't dent. It has a finish already on it. You might consider upgrading and getting some of the aluminum oxide. And honestly, you won't have to spend any money on that for a really long time, and you can focus more on having nice buns. Nice buns, get it? Okay, good talk.
Yeah.
All right. Is there such a thing as gloss finish for LVP flooring?
Not that I've seen.
No. LVP focuses on being scratch resistant, and as a general rule, when you have something with gloss, it's going to show scratches more on just about anything, so that's why you just don't see it. Jason, there's a split in the floor of my flooring. A split in the floor of my flooring. I think what they mean is there's a split in a board in their flooring.
Yes.
What is the best way to fix it?
Go to the local hardware store and get a can of colored putty that will match your floor. That's about the only way you can do it. Just rub it in the crack, take a damp paper towel and wipe the excess off, and it usually hides it very well.
Hiding it. Okay, how is the flooring delivered from you guys? I'm in Washington, D.C. Sorry. I meant about the Washington, D.C., not buying from us. Would you care to answer that question?
Delivered from us, okay. Anything comes from us, it'll come on a tractor trailer.
That's big.
There's 3 different ways it can come. One, we can come to your residence if the tractor trailer can get to your house, or they'll drop it as close as they can get.
And that was your responsibility to get to the house.
That's the most expensive. The next 2 would be either ship it to a terminal closest to your location, or if you have access to a business we can ship it to. And they'll just drop it off there. If it goes to a terminal, we do that more than we do businesses. When it gets to terminal, they give you a call. You have probably 48 hours or so to go pick it up. You can just go down there, show them your IDs and everything, pick it up and haul it off.
That's a good answer. You did that very well. Sorry about making fun of your Washington, D.C. address. What's the best way to get notified about a sale going? Well, fortunately, our sales are predictable. The only sale we ever have are warehouse sales, okay? The Murphy locations have the warehouse sale on the first weekend, generally, first weekend of the month. Orlando locations the second weekend. Dalton is the third weekend. You can go to our website, click on the warehouse sale page, and it will show you when that sale is scheduled for. And once you get within a week, it will show what inventory is being promoted for that sale. Now, it's not necessarily an exclusive list or all-inclusive list. There could be more that's put out there, but it'll be a pretty good list. Let's see. How safe is it for a baby to fall on hardwood flooring? I'm just reading them.
That's yours.
Well, somewhat safer than it is to fall on a gravel pile, but not as much as it is for a fuzzy rug. Next question. Can I still float my engineered floor even if it's 7 inches wide? A neighbor said I should glue it down. First of all, tell your neighbor shut up, okay? We always say if you can nail a floor down, nail it. If you can't nail it, glue it. If you can't glue it, float it. There's more problems associated, I'm not saying the floating floor is a bad idea, but there's a few more problems like movement that are associated with with a floating floor than there is a glued down floor. I realize glue's annoying. You got to buy the glue. Glue and underlayment will cost about the same, right? I mean, it's not a lot of price difference.
But with glue, it's solid to the floor.
Yeah.
You won't hear any. You hear people
Don't get
say
that tapping
hollow
sound,
spots.
right.
You won't get any of that when you glue the floor down.
It's only annoying when you're putting it down,
Yeah.
okay? We love glued down floors. You just don't have any problems with them. Okay. Do you think LVP will still be in style in 10 years? Man, that's a good question.
I think it will be. My reason is pets in a home.
But if pets are less fashionable to have,
Yes.
maybe.
Us growing up, nobody had pets in their house. What, 1 out of 100?
Yeah.
And now
They'll have
probably
fish. Fish stayed in the house.
Now probably 8 out of 10 people have pets in their home, and I think that's one thing that's made LVP so popular.
That's a great answer.
You know,
Another thing that's going to have an impact on it. A year ago, 98% of the LVP sold in the United States was imported. Companies like Shaw, Cortec, Mohawk, and many other guys you've never heard of. I think there's about 5 plants right now under construction to build LVP in the U.S. I think once it starts getting here, the pricing is going to be less volatile. Tariffs and transportation prices are going to have less of an impact, and they'll be able to react quicker to what the consumer wants. I don't think it's going to grow much because it's already probably 50% of the
over
market.
50%
For
right
us,
now.
it's about 30 or 40%, but nationwide, it's about 60%. I don't see it falling off. And really, when you look over floors, what floors out there have reduced in value? I mean, in popularity, laminate fell off to nothing because of LVP.
Wow.
So I think if you see today's LVP fall off in popularity, it's going to be because companies like Shaw and Cortec make improvements in LVP or change the letters as you want to be something more popular.
Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be popular for a really long time for the right applications. Okay, should I have matching flooring throughout my house or different flooring all the way through? What's your opinion? We're going to have 2 different opinions here. I love continuity. Oh my goodness, I'm cheap, so I would love to have the value of buying small lots and putting it in my house, but I want the same floor all the way through. I really do. Even my powder room and my utility room have the same floor. I would put wood everywhere and then put maybe rugs in the bedrooms. But other people feel differently, Jason.
Yeah. I like changing up some rooms. I like maybe the bathroom to look different, or the laundry room. Instead of it being a plank, I like the tile look.
You're weird.
Just my opinion.
And a lot of people like to stick carpet in a bedroom or carpet in a couple of bedrooms. Important thing is get what you want. That's the only rule that matters. Well, that and don't spend too much money. That's our opinion. Let's see. Should I install my cabinets before or after I install my floor? That's an easy one. I'll let you
That's
have it.
easy. Mix corn which floor. If you're doing a wood floor, I'd install my floors before. If I was doing an LVP, install your cabinets first.
We can dumb that down a little bit better now. If it's a floating floor, put the cabinets in first. If it's a glue or nailed down floor, put the floor in first. Is that a better way of putting that? Okay. You lucky devil, you have a beach house and sand gets in between my floorboards. Will that cause a lot of damage over time? Yes, it will. Sand is an abrasive. That's why they make sandpaper out of it. Silly. Walk-off mats help a lot. Okay, mats, those outside ones that look cute that say welcome or have a little deer on them, those are actually made that way for a reason. They have some depth to them, so the grit off of your feet can fall down the cracks. So buy you a walk-off mat for every room once a week. Go over and shake it off. Don't let it get full. We don't want grit transferring from the walk-off mat to the shoes, okay? Some places they make you take your shoes off. I don't like that because his feet stink. But yes, grit can hurt. Keep you a Swiffer or some sort of dry mop. Run it over it once a day, okay? Because we want the floor. This is if you're using our floors. We want our floors to last a really long time, and we want you to be happy and tell all your friends so we can sell more floors, okay? Let's make them look good. Let's take care of the floors that we have. Anything, Dad?
Nope.
Okay. Jason, can I use bleach to clean my floors?
I don't recommend it.
No, one, you don't want that much moisture on there. Use a no-rinse cleaner, like a Bona cleaner or a Bruce cleaner. It's imperative you use a no-rinse cleaner.
Unless you have tile.
If you have tile,
yeah,
you can clean the grout lines with a toothbrush, even. Jason, let's see. What are H joints? My neighbor complained about Lowe's installers leaving them. I can't believe they put Lowe's in there. Why'd they do that?
I don't know. H joints is where on your end joints is where they put them too close together. Yes.
And making them predictable instead of staggering them.
Where they should be random back and forth and at least 6 to 8 inches apart. So yes, that is it. Just watch your joints and let somebody else install it beside Lowe's if you don't like them.
That would be a good idea. What is the best thickness to get when shopping for engineered floors? The thickness really isn't as important as the pieces that are used. The more plies, the better. The more dense the material used in the plies, the better. To a little bit lesser extent, but still important, the lamello, or the veneer on the top. You know, how thick is it? What's it made out of? Okay, those are what matter. We can make one this thick, but if it's made out of some of those soft woods that are imported, you know, the larch, if you make it out of that, then the floor is going to dent. Doesn't matter how thick it is. You drop a bowling ball on it, it's going to dent. But if you'll buy an 8-ply hardwood core floor like our Somerset floors, you get a really dense floor, and that's what we're shooting for. We want a stable, dense floor, lots of layers, and using the right material. Is that it? We're done. Sean, you're waiting. Yep, Sean's here. I'm going to go too.